The lights in Hope Station dimmed for the third time that week. Admiral Taiwan looked up from his desk and frowned. The power problems were getting worse. Status report. He called into his comm unit. Engineer Du Yun's tired voice came through. The main generator is down to 68% capacity, sir. We're working on it. Taiwan rubbed his eyes. Hope Station was humanity's last real home, hidden in the dark side of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Outside these walls, the Jackals ruled. The year was 2187. 5 years ago, the Cygnians arrived from the stars. Humans called them Jackals because they looked like Earth's wild dogs, but stood on 2 legs and used tools. They were smart, fast, and deadly, and they wanted Earth for themselves. The Jackals took Mars in 3 days. The moon fell in a week. Earth held out longer, but in the end, the Jackals won. Only a few thousand humans escaped to hidden bases like Hope Station. A knock at the door pulled Taiwan from his dark thoughts. "Enter," he said. Captain Jisoo walked in, her uniform clean but worn at the edges. Everyone's clothes were wearing out. No new supplies meant making do with what they had. "Sir," the daily report. She handed him a tablet. "Food stocks are down another 3%. The farm levels can't keep up with demand." Taiwan looked at the numbers. Not good. How long? 4 months at current rations. Less if we lose more power to the grow lights. He nodded. "And the cloaking system." Jisoo's face grew more serious. "Dr. Hanbin says the main array is failing. If it goes down completely, the Jackals will find us in hours." Taiwan stood and walked to the small window. Outside, the stars shone bright against the black of space. Somewhere out there, Jackal ships hunted for them. "Take me to Hanbin's lab," he said. The science section was the brightest area in Hope Station. It needed to be. This was where humanity's best minds worked to find a way to fight back. Dr. Hanbin didn't look up when they entered. He was bent over a microscope, his thin face tight with focus. At 62, he was one of the oldest people on the station. His hair had gone completely white in the past year. "Doctor," Taiwan said, "I hear we have problems with the cloak." Hanbin finally looked up. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. "Yes, Admiral. The quantum field generators were never meant to run this long. We're pushing them past all safety limits." "Can you fix them?" "Fix? No. Patch them to keep working a bit longer." "Maybe." Hanbin gestured to a young assistant across the room. "Su-jin, show them the model." The young woman tapped at a control panel. A hologram appeared, showing Hope Station and a cloud of energy around it that was slowly breaking apart. "This is our cloak now," Hanbin explained. "These gaps are growing. Each one is a chance for Jackal sensors to spot us." Jisoo stepped closer to the hologram. "How long do we have?" 2 weeks, maybe 3 if we cut power to non-essential areas. Taiwan's stomach tightened. That would include parts of the residential sections. People are already cold. "Better cold than dead." "Admiral," Hanbin said flatly. Taiwan couldn't argue with that. "Make it happen, Captain," he said to Jisoo. She nodded, her face grim. Hanbin cleared his throat. "There is something else you should see, Admiral." He led them to a sealed door at the back of the lab. After pressing his hand to a scanner, the door slid open. Inside was a smaller lab with strange equipment Taiwan didn't recognize. In the center was a glass container. Inside was what looked like a small piece of meat, floating in clear liquid. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Taiwan asked. Hanbin's tired face showed a small smile for the first time. "This, Admiral, is a piece of jackal tissue from a prisoner we captured last month. And I think I've found a weakness, something in their biology we can use against them." For the first time in months, Taiwan felt a small spark of hope light in his chest. "Tell me everything," he said. The alarm screamed through Hope Station, red lights flashing in every corridor. Admiral Taiwan ran to the command center, his heart pounding. Report, he shouted as he entered. Sumai, the young communications officer, looked up from her screen. Unknown ship approaching, sir. Small. Single pilot. Not Jackal design. Captain Jisoo stood at the main view screen, her body tense. It found us somehow. The cloak must be failing faster than we thought. Weapons? Ta-1 asked. None that we can detect, Sumai replied. The view screen showed a small battered ship limping toward the station. It didn't look dangerous, but they couldn't take chances. Not anymore. It's broadcasting a message, sir, Sumai said. Audio only. Ta-1 nodded. Let's hear it. A man's voice filled the room, tired and strained. Hope Station. This is Dr. Baco, former lead researcher at Earth Colony Science Division. I'm human. I have escaped from a Jackal research facility. Please, I have critical information, and I'm running out of air. Silence fell over the command center. Everyone looked at Ta-1. It could be a trap, Jisoo said quietly. Ta-1 knew she was right. But if the man was telling the truth, and they let him die. Bring him in, Ta-1 ordered. Full security protocols. And get Dr. Hanbin to the docking bay. Dr. Baco was thin, with hollow cheeks and dark circles under his eyes. He sat in the station's secure room, hands wrapped around a cup of hot tea. 4 armed guards stood nearby. 2 years, he said, answering Ta-1's question. I was captured when the Jackals took the Europa research base. They kept me alive because of my genetics work. Hanbin leaned forward. What did they make you do? Study their own DNA. Baco took a sip of tea. That's how I learned the truth. The Jackals aren't natural creatures. They were engineered as weapons by another alien race, a race that's now extinct. A murmur ran through the room. Ta-1 raised his hand for quiet. How did you escape? He asked. They got careless. Thought I was broken. Baco smiled, but there was no joy in it. I wasn't. I was waiting, and I took something when I left. He reached slowly into his pocket. The guards raised their weapons. Baco pulled out a small data device, complete genetic data on the Jackals, and something even more important. His eyes locked with Hanbin's. They have a fatal flaw in their design, a dependency on a specific protein complex. Without it, their enhanced abilities fail. Their bodies begin to break down. Hanbin took the device, his hands trembling slightly. We could create a biological agent that targets this dependency. A bioweapon, Ta-1 said. Jisoo frowned. Is this who we are now? Using biological weapons. It's who we need to be to survive. Baco replied, his voice hard. The Jackals killed billions of us. They hunt the rest like animals. Before anyone could respond, Sumai burst into the room. Admiral, I've been monitoring Jackal communications channels. There's something strange. What is it? Ta-1 asked. The messages, they're not all the same. Some Jackal groups are arguing with others. I think, she paused, checking her notes. I think they're fighting amongst themselves. Baco nodded slowly. It makes sense. Their genetic flaws are getting worse. The dominant packs will try to maintain control as the weaker ones deteriorate. Ta-1 looked at Hanbin. How quickly can you develop this bioweapon? With this data? Weeks, not months. But we'll need to test it. Hanbin glanced at Baco. And we'll need more samples. I can help with that, Baco said. I know where they keep their research facilities, their patrol patterns, their weaknesses. Ta-1 stood up. Dr. Hanbin, you and Dr. Baco start work immediately. Captain Jisoo, prepare a mission plan. If the Jackals are fighting each other, now is the time to strike. As they filed out, Ta-1 stayed behind. He looked out the small window at the stars. For 5 years, humanity had been running and hiding. Maybe now they could do something else. Maybe now they could fight back. Sumai sat at her communication station, listening to the strange sounds of Jackal speech. For 3 days straight, she had been recording and studying their messages. There was something about their language that bothered her. "You should get some sleep," said Dr. Minna, the station's psychologist. She placed a cup of hot tea next to Sumai's keyboard. "I can't," Sumai replied. "There's something here, something important." Minna looked at the sound waves on the screen. "What are you seeing?" "Not seeing. Hearing." Sumai played a recording. "Listen to the rhythm, the way they form words. It reminds me of something." Across the station in the science lab, Dr. Hanbin and Dr. Bako were making a discovery of their own. "This can't be right," Hanbin muttered, staring at the DNA analysis on his screen. "Run it again." Bako checked the results and shook his head. "It's correct. I've tested it 5 times. The lab door opened, and Admiral Tadwan walked in with Captain Jisoo. "Progress report?" the Admiral asked. Hanbin looked up, his face pale. "Sir, we found something disturbing about the Jackals' genetic makeup." "What is it?" Taiwan moved closer to see the screen. "The aliens who created the Jackals, they used human DNA as part of the design." Hanbin pointed to the genetic code displayed on the screen. "About 17% of Jackal DNA is human in origin." Jisoo's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Humans never met these aliens. They came from another star system. They must have been watching us for a long time," Bako said. "Collecting samples, studying us." "Why would they use human DNA?" Taiwan asked. "To make better hunters," Bako replied. "Human intelligence combined with predator instincts. The perfect weapon." The lab door slid open again. Sumai rushed in, her eyes bright with excitement. "Admiral, doctors, I've figured it out." She plugged a data stick into the lab's main computer. "The Jackal language. It has patterns similar to ancient human languages, specifically Proto-Indo-European roots." Hanbin looked from the genetic data to Sumai's language analysis. "This confirms it. The Jackals aren't just enemies. They're a twisted version of us." A heavy silence filled the room. Finally, Taiwan spoke. "Does this change our plans for the bioweapon?" Hanbin hesitated. "From a scientific perspective, no. The weapon will still work. But it feels different now." Jisoo finished for him. "Like killing distant cousins." From the doorway came a new voice. Those cousins still slaughtered billions of humans. It was Sangwoo, the security chief. His face was hard. "My wife and daughters died when the Jackals took Seoul. My son died fighting on Mars. They looked human enough to him when they tore him apart." Minna stepped toward him. "Sangwoo, your anger is understandable, but—" "No," Sangwoo cut her off. "Don't use your psychology on me, doctor. Those things out there aren't human. They're monsters wearing pieces of our DNA." Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered and went out. A moment later, emergency lights came on, bathing everything in dim red. Jisoo's comm unit beeped. "Captain," came Do Yoon's voice. "Main power grid is failing. The reactor cooling system is down to 40%. Can you fix it?" Jisoo asked. "Yes, but I need to shut down non-essential systems for at least 12 hours. That includes lab power." Hanbin looked at his equipment with alarm. "If we lose power to the containment fields, we lose our Jackal samples. We'll have to start over." Taiwan made a quick decision. "Do Yoon, give the lab emergency power. Cut life support to vacant sections instead." "Yes, sir. But the station will get cold. Very cold." "Better cold than dead," Taiwan replied, echoing Hanbin's words from days before. "Make it happen." As the others left to prepare for the power shutdown, Hanbin turned back to his genetic analysis. The code of human and Jackal DNA intertwined on his screen, a terrible kinship written in the language of life itself. "This is suicide," Admiral Taiwan said, staring at the mission plan on the table. Captain Jisoo stood firm. "We need fresh samples and intelligence. The Mars outpost is the closest Jackal facility. They were in the command center with the mission team. Jisoo herself, Security Chief Sang-woo, and Engineer Do-yoon. The plan was simple but dangerous. Take a small shuttle to Mars, infiltrate the Jackal outpost, and gather what they needed. The shuttle has new stealth plates, Do-yoon explained. I installed them myself. They absorb radar and heat scans. The Jackals won't see us coming. And if they do? Ta-won asked. Sang-woo patted the weapon at his side. Then we make sure none of them live to tell others about Hope Station. Dr. Han Bin entered, carrying a small case. The test canisters are ready. They contained a weak version of the bioweapon. Not enough to kill, but enough to see how it affects them. Ta-won looked at each face around the table. They were tired, scared, but determined. After 5 years of running, they were finally fighting back. You have 48 hours, he said at last. If you're not back by then, we'll assume the worst. The shuttle dropped out of stealth mode just long enough to land in a crater 5 miles from the Jackal outpost. Mars was a red wasteland, once home to the first human colony beyond Earth. Now it belonged to the enemy. Suits sealed. Jisoo asked over the comm. Remember, we don't know if the bioweapon could affect us. Do-yoon and Sang-woo nodded inside their helmets. They each carried a specially designed air tank that would last 6 hours. They moved across the Martian surface quickly but carefully. Red dust swirled around their boots. Soon, the Jackal outpost came into view, a cluster of dome structures connected by tunnels. There, Do-yoon pointed to a small service entrance. That's our way in. Inside, the air was warm and damp, made for Jackal comfort, not human. They moved through maintenance tunnels, avoiding patrols. Look, Sang-woo whispered, pointing through a vent into a large room below. Dozens of jackals moved about on 2 legs. They looked like a mix of wolves and humans, fur-covered bodies with almost human faces. Some wore armor, others wore nothing. But something was wrong with many of them. They're sick, Jisoo realized. Several jackals had patches of missing fur. Others moved with limps or shakes. Their engineered genetics are failing, Do-yoon said, just like Bako told us. They continued deeper into the facility. In one room, they found what they needed, a genetics lab with fresh samples. Do-yoon quickly filled special containers while Jisoo copied data from Jackal computers. Hurry, Sang-woo urged from the doorway. Patrol coming. They finished just in time, ducking into a storage closet as jackals passed by. When it was clear, they made their way to the ventilation control room. Here, Jisoo said, placing the test canisters into the air system. This will spread the bioweapon through the whole facility. As they turned to leave, a scream echoed from nearby. A human scream. Someone's alive here, Sang-woo said. He moved toward the sound before Jisoo could stop him. In a small cell, they found a woman. She was thin and pale, with dark circles under her eyes. Her name tag read Yoon-hee. Are you real? She whispered when she saw them. We're from Hope Station, Jisoo said. Can you walk? I think so. They've been experimenting on me. Alarms suddenly blared through the facility. The bioweapon was working faster than expected. Jackals howled in pain and confusion. We need to go. Now. Jisoo helped Yoon-hee up. They ran back the way they came, but a group of jackals blocked their path. These ones looked healthy, unaffected by the weapon. Elite guards, Yoon-hee explained weakly. Different genetics. Sang-woo pushed forward. I'll hold them off. Get to the shuttle. No. Jisoo pulled him back. We all leave together. Do-yoon pulled out a small device. Cover your eyes, he shouted, then threw it at the jackals. A blinding flash and deafening boom followed. When they could see again, the jackals were on the ground, stunned. They ran past, supporting Yoon-hee between them. Behind them, more alarms sounded. The entire facility was in chaos. They reached their shuttle just as Jackal forces were organizing a search. As they lifted off, Sang-woo looked at Yoon-hee with suspicion. "Who exactly are you?" he asked. "And why were the Jackals keeping you alive?" Hope Station's medical bay was quiet except for the soft beep of monitors. Yoon-hee lay on a bed, sleeping. Dr. Minna checked her vital signs and made notes on a tablet. "How is she?" Admiral Taiwan asked from the doorway. "Stable. No serious injuries. Just weak from poor food and stress." Minna glanced at the sleeping woman. "But there's something strange about her blood work. I'm running more tests." In the science lab, Dr. Han-bin and Dr. Baiko studied the samples from Mars. "The test weapon worked better than expected," Han-bin said, looking at cell samples through a microscope. "The protein disruption spread through their systems in minutes. But not all of them were affected," Ji-soo pointed out. "The elite guards seemed immune." Baiko nodded. "They must have different genetic modifications. The Jackals are always trying to improve themselves." "We need to make the weapon stronger," Sang-woo said. He hadn't left the lab since they returned. "Strong enough to kill all of them." Han-bin looked troubled. "A weapon that kills could spread to Earth. It might affect the ecosystem there." "Earth is already ruined," Sang-woo replied bitterly. The lab door opened, and Dr. Minna entered. Her face was serious. "You need to see this," she said, handing her tablet to Han-bin. He studied the screen, then looked up sharply. "Are you sure?" "I ran the test 3 times." Han-bin turned to the others. "Yoon-hee's DNA. It's not fully human. About 30% of it matches Jackal patterns." A heavy silence fell over the room. "She's a hybrid," Baiko finally said. "Half human, half Jackal." Sang-woo's hand moved to his weapon. "She's a spy." "We don't know that," Ji-soo said quickly. "Let's talk to her first." When they entered the medical bay, Yoon-hee was awake and sitting up. She looked at their faces and sighed. "You know, don't you?" she asked quietly. Taiwan stepped forward. "Know what?" "What I am." She pushed up her sleeve, showing a patch of fine fur on her forearm that they hadn't noticed before. "I'm not fully human." "Why were you at the Mars facility?" Ji-soo asked. "I was born there." "In their breeding program." Yoon-hee's voice was calm but sad. "The Jackals create hybrids like me to spy on human settlements. We look human enough to pass. They've been doing it for years." Sang-woo moved closer, his eyes hard. "So you are a spy?" "No. I ran away. I couldn't do what they wanted." Tears filled Yoon-hee's eyes. "They made me watch what they did to captured humans. They wanted me to learn to hate my human side. But it had the opposite effect. I grew to hate what the Jackals were doing." "How did you end up in that cell?" Yoon asked. "I tried to help human prisoners escape. I was caught." She looked at each face around her. "I'm not your enemy." Minna checked the surveillance screen on her tablet. "She's been sending signals at night. To an unknown frequency." All eyes turned back to Yoon-hee. She didn't try to deny it. "There are others like me," she said. "Hybrids who want to escape. I was trying to tell them I found humans who might help." "Or you were telling the Jackals where to find us," Sang-woo said. "If I wanted to betray you, why would I tell you what I am?" Yoon-hee asked. "I could have kept it secret." Before anyone could answer, she doubled over in pain. Minna rushed to her side. "What's happening?" Taiwan asked. Minna checked the monitors. "Her cells are breaking down. Similar to what the bioweapon does to Jackals, but slower." Han-bin's eyes widened in understanding. "The test weapon at the Mars facility. It affected her too." "Not just me," Yoon-hee gasped through the pain. "All hybrids will be affected. Hundreds of us, many living among humans, hiding from both sides." Han-bin turned to Taiwan. "Admiral, we need to rethink our weapon. If it targets all Jackal DNA, even partial, we could be killing innocent people." "People like me," Yoon-hee whispered. As Minna worked to stabilize her, Admiral Taiwan's comm unit beeped. He answered it, listening for a moment, then looked up with a grim expression. Sumai just picked up a disturbing transmission, he said. All human resistance cells in the Jupiter colonies just went dark. One by one. Something is hunting them down. The Jackals found them, Jisoo said. Or someone told them where to look, Sang-woo added, staring at Yoon-hee. But she was unconscious now, fighting for her life against a weapon made by her mother's people to destroy her father's kind. We don't have much time left, Admiral Ta-won said. The command team sat around the meeting table. Maps and charts covered the surface. Bad news was piling up fast. 3 more human outposts went silent last night. Captain Jisoo reported. Something is hunting us down one by one. Dr. Han Bin looked up from his tablet. The good news is we fixed the bioweapon problem. The new version only affects pure jackal DNA, not hybrids. How sure are you? Ta-won asked. We tested it on samples from Yoon-hee and from pure jackals. It works exactly as we want. Do-yoon, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. The problem isn't the weapon anymore. It's delivery. How do we get it to all the jackals? The room fell silent. Then Sumai spoke up. The quantum transmitter, she said. Everyone turned to look at her. We use it to send messages to other human groups. What if we use it to send the bioweapon formula instead? That's actually brilliant, Han Bin said. Any human station with basic lab equipment could make the weapon themselves. But the transmitter doesn't have that kind of range, Do-yoon pointed out. It can barely reach Saturn's moons. We could boost it, Sumai suggested. Redirect power from other systems. Do-yoon shook his head. That would take almost all our remaining power. And the energy burst would be visible for millions of miles. He looked at Admiral Ta-won. Sir, if we do this, we might as well put up a big sign saying, "Here we are," to every jackal ship in the system. The room grew quiet again as everyone understood what this meant. They could share the weapon with other humans, but they would expose Hope Station in the process. How long would it take the nearest jackal fleet to reach us? Ta-won asked. Jisoo checked her screens. The nearest patrol is near Jupiter, 8 hours at their top speed. And how long to transmit the formula? About 6 hours, Sumai answered. It's complex data. Ta-won stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars looked cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the last humans in the solar system were fighting to survive, just like them. We do it, he said finally. Prepare the transmission, and prepare for evacuation. In the medical bay, Yoon-hee was sitting up in bed. Her condition had improved since they stopped the bioweapon's effects. Dr. Minna had just left when Sang-woo entered. They looked at each other for a long moment. You still don't trust me, Yoon-hee said. Should I? Sang-woo remained by the door, his hand never far from his weapon. I understand your hatred, she said softly. The jackals took everything from you. Not everything. Not yet. His voice was hard, but his eyes showed pain. They took everything from me too. Yoon-hee looked down at her hands. My choice, my freedom, my humanity. She looked up again. That's why I want to help you. Before Sang-woo could answer, the station-wide comm system activated. All personnel, this is Admiral Ta-won. We are beginning emergency transmission protocols. All non-essential systems will shut down in 10 minutes. Prepare for possible evacuation. This is not a drill. Sang-woo turned to leave, but Yoon-hee called out. Wait, let me help with the transmission. I know jackal communication protocols. I can help make sure they don't detect it until it's too late. Sang-woo stared at her, still unsure. Then he nodded once. Come on. In the transmission center, Do-yoon was working frantically on the main console. Are you sure this will work? Jisoo asked. Not really, Do-yoon admitted. We're pushing the equipment way beyond its limits. He pointed to a diagram of the station. I've rerouted power from life support in levels 3 through 6. Temperature will drop below freezing there within an hour. What about the escape shuttles? Ta-1 asked. Fully fueled and ready, but they can only take about half our people. Ta-1's face grew grave. Then we pray this works, and that help comes in time. The lights dimmed as power was diverted to the transmitter. A low hum filled the station as the massive device powered up. Transmission ready, Sumai reported. Yoon-hee stepped forward. Let me check the encryption. The Jackals will be monitoring standard frequencies. After a moment of hesitation, Sumi moved aside. Yoon-hee's fingers flew over the keyboard, making adjustments. There, she said. Now it will look like background radiation to their sensors, at least for a while. Admiral Ta-1 looked around at their faces, human and hybrid, all fighting for the same cause now. Begin transmission, he ordered. The station shuddered as the quantum transmitter activated, sending humanity's last hope into the darkness of space. On the long-range scanners, multiple Jackal ships suddenly changed course. They were coming for Hope Station. Jackal fleet approaching. 6 ships. Estimated arrival, 43 minutes. Suma's voice was steady as she made the announcement, but her hands shook on the controls. Around her, the command center was a flurry of activity. Admiral Ta-1 turned to Captain Jisoo. Evacuation status. First shuttle ready to launch with children and medical staff. Second preparing now. Ta-1 nodded. How much longer on the transmission? 3 hours minimum. Sumai replied. We're only halfway through the data. 3 hours. They needed to hold off the Jackals for at least that long. All non-essential personnel to the escape shuttles. Ta-1 ordered over the comm system. Security teams to defense positions. This is what we've trained for. As people rushed to their stations, Yoon-hee approached Ta-1. The lead ship, she said, pointing to the main screen. It's the command vessel. I recognize the signal pattern. The Alpha Leader will be on board. Alpha Leader? Jisoo asked. The head of the main Jackal pack. If we can kill him, the others will fight among themselves for power. It might buy us time. Ta-1 studied her for a moment, then nodded. What do you suggest? They'll send boarding parties through the main docks. They want to capture humans, not just kill them. Yoon-hee's eyes were hard. We can use that against them. The first Jackal ship arrived earlier than expected. It attached itself to the outer hull of Hope Station near the main airlock. The metal groaned as the Jackals cut through. Captain Jisoo stood with a team of 20 defenders, the last security personnel on the station. Among them was Sang-woo, looking grim but determined. Remember, Jisoo said, we just need to hold them off long enough for the transmission to complete and the last shuttles to launch. The airlock door sparked as Jackal cutting tools sliced through the metal. Then the door burst inward with a bang, and chaos erupted. Jackals poured through the opening, snarling and firing weapons. They were tall, wolf-like creatures walking on 2 legs, wearing armor made of some black material. Their yellow eyes gleamed in the emergency lighting. The human defenders fired back from behind barricades. Several Jackals fell, but more kept coming. Fall back to checkpoint 2, Jisoo ordered. The defenders retreated down the corridor in an orderly fashion, still firing. In the communications center, Sumai worked frantically to keep the transmission going while alarms blared around her. Admiral Ta-1 stood nearby, coordinating the defense. Sir, Sumai called over the noise. There's a problem with the transmitter. The power coupling is overheating. If it fails, the transmission stops. Can you fix it? Ta-1 asked. Sumai looked at the diagnostic screen. Yes, but I'll have to go to the maintenance shaft. It's near where the Jackals breached. Ta-1 shook his head. Too dangerous. If I don't go, the transmission fails. All of this will be for nothing. Her young face was determined. After a moment, Ta-1 nodded. Go, but take this. He handed her his sidearm. As Sumai left, Do-yoon's voice came over the comm. Admiral, second shuttle ready to launch. 82 people on board. Launch immediately, Ta-1 ordered. Head for the Europa hidden base. In the medical bay, Dr. Minna worked quickly, giving each person a dose of the vaccine they'd created to protect humans from any potential side effects of the bioweapon. Last one, she said, injecting Dr. Hanbin. The old scientist looked exhausted, but managed a small smile. "Will you take the last shuttle?" he asked. "No," she replied. "Too many wounded still here. I stay with my patients." At checkpoint 2, the battle raged on. 3 defenders were down, but the narrow corridor worked to the humans' advantage, forcing the Jackals to come at them in smaller numbers. He fought alongside Sangwoo, firing a borrowed weapon with surprising skill. "More coming from the left shaft," she called out, and Sangwoo turned just in time to shoot a jackal that was crawling through a ventilation duct. "Thanks," he said, giving her a brief nod. A massive explosion rocked the station. Captain Ji-Soo checked her tablet. "They've breached level 3, she shouted. "We're being flanked." Meanwhile, Sumai reached the maintenance shaft. The air was hot from the overworked equipment. She quickly found the problem. A power coupling glowing red with heat. As she worked to replace it, she heard growling behind her. Turning slowly, she found herself face to face with a jackal scout. It snarled, showing sharp teeth. Sumai raised her weapon with trembling hands. The jackal leaped. Shots rang out. Blood splattered the walls. In the silence that followed, Sumai finished replacing the coupling with shaking hands. The transmitter's power stabilized. The battle for Hope Station had only just begun. Admiral Ta-1 looked at the station map, now covered with red dots showing jackal positions. They were losing ground fast. "Transmission status?" he asked into his comm. 83% complete, came the reply. Not Sumai's voice, but Du Yun's. "Sumai, she didn't make it, sir. I found her at the coupling. She finished the repair before." His voice trailed off. Ta-1 closed his eyes for a moment. "Understood. Continue monitoring the transmission." Another explosion shook the station. The lights flickered. "Final shuttle is loaded," Admiral reported Ji-Soo over the comm. "But Jackals are closing in on the launch bay. We need more time." "Can you hold them off?" Ta-1 asked. "Not for long. We're down to 12 defenders." Ta-1 looked at the reactor controls. There was one sure way to buy time. "Captain Ji-Soo, get everyone to the shuttle. I'm going to overload the east section reactors. The explosion should distract them long enough for launch." "Sir, that means..." "That's an order, Captain." There was a pause. "Yes, sir. It's been an honor." Ta-1 began the reactor overload sequence. The computer warned of catastrophic failure in 15 minutes, enough time to get to the escape shuttle if he hurried. As he turned to leave, the command center door opened. Dr. Hanbin stood there, leaning against the frame. "I thought you'd be on the shuttle by now, Doctor," Ta-1 said. Hanbin shook his head. "No point." He held up his hand, which shook badly. "Radiation poisoning. From working with the weapon samples, I've got hours at most." "I'm sorry." Ta-1 meant it. "Don't be. I can still be useful." Hanbin gestured to the reactor controls. "I can finish this. You get to the shuttle. They'll need a leader wherever they go." After a moment of hesitation, Ta-1 nodded. "Thank you, old friend." At the launch bay, chaos reigned. Jackals had broken through to the corridor just outside. Sangwoo, Ji-Soo, and the remaining defenders held them back, while people rushed onto the shuttle. "Where's the Admiral?" Ji-Soo shouted over the gunfire. As if in answer, Ta-1 appeared from a side passage, running hard. "Get on board," he ordered. "East reactor going critical in 10 minutes." They fell back toward the shuttle, still firing. Yoon-hee helped a wounded defender inside. Suddenly, new alarms blared. "Jackals detected in maintenance shaft 7, announced the computer. "Approaching launch bay from below." They're trying to sabotage the shuttle. Yoon, he realized. I know that tactic. Before anyone could stop her, she sprinted toward the maintenance hatch. Yoon-hee, wait. Sang-woo called, but she was already gone. In the shuttle, Dr. Minna tended to the wounded while Do-yoon monitored the transmission. 92%, he reported. Just a few more minutes. Outside, the fighting intensified. Ji-soo took a hit to the shoulder, but kept firing. Everyone in. Ta-won ordered. We launch in 2 minutes, with or without the transmission complete. Sang-woo looked toward the maintenance shaft. Yoon-hee's not back. I'll find her, Ta-won said. Get the rest on board. He rushed to the maintenance shaft. Inside, he found Yoon-hee and a Jackal infiltrator locked in combat. Both were bloody. The Jackal had a device attached to what looked like the shuttle's fuel line. Ta-won fired, hitting the Jackal in the back. It fell, but not before slashing Yoon-hee across the chest with its claws. Bomb, she gasped, pointing at the device. Ta-won approached carefully. The device was counting down. 30 seconds. Can't move it, Yoon-hee said weakly. Pressure trigger. Ta-won understood immediately. If they tried to remove it, it would explode instantly. We need to seal off this section, he said. He helped Yoon-hee to her feet, but she cried out in pain and collapsed. Go, she whispered. I'll hold the door closed. Manual override. She dragged herself toward the control panel. Yoon-hee. Please, she said. Let me do this. Tell Sang-woo. Tell him I was human enough in the end. 20 seconds. Ta-won squeezed her shoulder once, then ran. Back in the launch bay, the last defenders were boarding the shuttle. Where's Yoon-hee? Sang-woo demanded. She saved us, Ta-won said, pushing him into the shuttle. There's no time. As the shuttle door closed, Sang-woo caught a glimpse through a small window in the maintenance shaft door. Yoon-hee, bloody but determined, held the manual override lever down. She looked up, met his eyes, and smiled. The shuttle launched, clearing the bay, just as a muffled explosion rocked the station behind them. On the bridge of the Jackal command ship, the Alpha leader watched in fury as the human shuttle escaped. Then a much bigger explosion tore through Hope Station as the reactors went critical. The last thing the Jackals saw before the shockwave hit their fleet was the bright flash of the station becoming a miniature sun. 6 months passed. Earth's blue skies were visible again for the first time in years. Admiral Ji-soo stood at the window of the new command center in what was once Seoul. The city was mostly ruins, but among them, new buildings were rising. Humanity was returning home. Report from the Europa base. Admiral, said a young officer, handing her a tablet. Ji-soo read it and smiled. The bioweapon had worked even better than they had hoped. Across the solar system, Jackals were losing their enhanced abilities. Their carefully structured society was falling apart. Any sign of resistance? She asked. Some Jackal groups have retreated to bases beyond Neptune, but they're fighting each other as much as they're fighting us. Ji-soo nodded. After Ta-won's death, when a second Jackal fleet attacked their escape shuttle, she had taken command. The survivors had reached the hidden base on Europa, where they found 300 more humans waiting. The bioweapon formula had arrived just in time. The door opened, and Do-yoon entered. He looked different now, more confident, less nervous. As chief engineer for the rebuilding effort, he had become an important leader. The new defense system is online, he reported. We've adapted Jackal technology to create better shields than anything we had before. Good work, Ji-soo said. And the communication network? Complete. We can talk to every human settlement in the system now. Do-yoon paused. We picked up some strange signals from the outer planets. They might be from hybrid colonies. Ji-soo wasn't surprised. Yoon-hee had spoken of other hybrids who had escaped Jackal control. Send a message, she decided. Tell them they're welcome here if they come in peace. Do-yoon looked unsure. Some people won't like that. They still blame hybrids for what happened. Then they need to learn. We won't rebuild by holding on to hate. In the medical center nearby, Dr. Minna examined a patient. The young woman had patches of fine fur on her arms, a hybrid who had come out of hiding after the Jackals retreated. The treatment is working, Minna told her. The genetic instability is stabilizing. You'll live a normal lifespan now. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. The Jackals said we were designed to die young, so we would need to obey them to get their treatments. Minna squeezed her hand. Those days are over. After the patient left, Minna updated her records. 53 hybrids were now under her care. Each one carried information about jackal biology and society that was helping humans understand their enemy better. On the edge of the rebuilding city, Sang-woo stood watch at the new defense perimeter. As head of security, he took the first and last shifts each day. 6 months had changed him. The burning hate that once drove him had cooled into something else, a determined resolve to protect what remained of humanity. He touched the small metal pin on his collar. It was made from a piece of Hope Station debris they had found floating in space. Everyone who had been there wore one now. A movement caught his eye. A group of children played in a field nearby. Human children, laughing in the sunlight. Some of them had never seen Earth before coming here. Born on space stations or distant colonies, they were experiencing grass and open sky for the first time. "Sir," called a young security officer, "the exploration team is back from the mountains." Sang-woo nodded and walked to meet them. The team had been searching old bunkers for supplies, but they had found something else too. "Seeds," explained the team leader, showing Sang-woo a small box. Hundreds of different plants. Rice, wheat, fruits, vegetables, protected in a climate-controlled vault. Sang-woo looked at the tiny seeds in wonder. Such small things, yet each contained the blueprint for new life. Much like the bioweapon formula they had sent out into the darkness, small but powerful, changing everything. That evening, as the sun set, the leaders gathered for the memorial ceremony. A simple stone column had been erected in the center of the new settlement. Jisoo stepped forward and placed her hand on it. "For Taiwan, Hanbin, Sumai, Yoon-hee, and all those who gave everything for this day," she said, "we fed our hope to the stars, and now that hope returns to us." Around the base of the monument, children had planted flowers, the first from the seeds they had found. New life growing from the ruins. The wind carried the sweet scent across what would someday be a city again. Above them, the stars came out one by one. Somewhere up there, jackal ships still prowled. But now, for the first time in years, when humans looked up at the night sky, they felt wonder instead of fear. Humanity had survived. And more than that, humanity had won.